What's good, everybody? It's your boy Hidden Q-Tip, and we're back to talk more WNBA basketball. Today, we're going to be talking about the Los Angeles Sparks and the run that they've been on over this recent stretch from about mid-July to now here in early August. They're 8-1 in their last 9 games. They've beaten some teams that are in front of them. They've beaten some teams that they're supposed to beat or that coming into the season you would expect them to beat. And they hadn't really been doing that up into the stretch. They're 14 and 15 right now, and very close to being into the playoffs. I think they're behind, or they're like tied with Golden State, and then Seattle is ahead of them, with Vegas ahead of Seattle after beating them last night. So um, the Sparks are playing their best brand of basketball at the right time. This is the time where you need everyone to play at their best. They had a team meeting. I want to say it was after the All Star break, and ever since they've played really well. Cam Brink has come back in the middle of that run. She hasn't been super. She hasn't been Cam Brink offensively at least. She did have a game where she had 5 blocks and she's averaging 2.8. In the games that she's played, she's shooting the three ball pretty well. She's shooting 44% from three. She's really just doing what they need her to do. Um, when you have players like Azare, Rikia, and De'Erica Hamby in the front court playing the way they played all season, you don't need Cam Brink to come in and be the number 2 pick that you drafted a couple years ago, or 2 years, or just last year actually. You just need her to come in and be a really good player, and there's not a ton of pressure on her right now to come in and be their star or be their best player, or be one of the best players in the league. Like you just come in and you just play um, complementary basketball with the rest of the team that's playing really well right now, and it's worked out for them. Um, in the last 9 games, they're number one in points per game. They're shooting 50% from the floor as a team, and they're third and they're third in 3 point percentage in the league. They're shooting 38%. Um, they have the most free throw attempts in the WNBA over the last 9 games. They're second in assists. They're second in offensive rating. Third in net rating. Fourth in pace. The thing that has held them back all season and that could hold them back if they don't keep up this offensive pace that they're on is the defense. They're still in this 9 game stretch where they've gone 8-1. They're still 12th in defensive rating. Um, and I would say you have players that are really capable defenders. Um, but at the same time, if you're playing at a fast pace and um, a, you're playing a style of basketball that shoots a lot of threes and that wants to get up and down. So if you're not making those shots, it's long rebounds. It could lead to teams getting out, leaking out, and getting fast break shots. And they're not the biggest team in the world. While they have 3 front court players, it's not like they're just this overwhelmingly tall team. Azari Stevens isn't the biggest 5 player in the world. De'Erica and Rakia are both about 6'2", 6'3", maybe 6'4" for De'Erica, but um, their defense could be better. But I think with the way that they play offense, as long as their offense is at this kind of rate, it won't hurt them too bad until you play certain teams. But they've beaten some good teams. They beat the Mystics twice, who were ahead of them at one point. Now, the Mystics traded Brittany Sykes, so some of their wins and losses have fallen down, or some of their losses have started to supersede them. They're now 13 and 17. They beat the Liberty. They beat the Storm the other night, and then they also beat the Fever. So they're beating teams that are ahead of them. They're beating teams that are in the playoff picture, that are firmly in the playoff picture. So that's good for their confidence. And then after that, you really just want to beat the teams that are very close to you. They've had a good amount of games against the Valkyries this year. They've had a good amount of games against the Aces, and those are the games that they really need to win and want to win. Um, so I have to look at the schedule and see what their schedule looks like from here on out. But those are the games that they need the most. Like you needed those wins against the Mystics, you got those, and now you're ahead of them. So now you have to focus on the teams that are directly in front of you. Um, over the last 9 games, Kelsey Plum is averaging 21 on 62% from the field, which is phenomenal. And this is something we talked about a couple weeks ago when we talked about efficiency from the guard position. If you can get somebody like Kelsey Plum, obviously she's not going to shoot 62% from the floor all season long. Um, like I don't think a guard has ever done that in the history of basketball. But if you can get her to be just like 45 to 48, 49% from the field, like your team looks so much better because she is a tough shot taker. If she's making those shots, it just opens up the floor for everybody else. De'Erica Hamby's averaging. Sorry, I read that completely wrong. I'm so sorry. She's not averaging 60. She's not shooting 62% from the floor. De'Erica Hamby is. Kelsey Plum is shooting 50% from the floor, which is still really, really good. If she's in that range, that's why this team can be this as good as they are. She's shooting 43% from the three. Um, De'Erica Hamby is averaging 19 on 62% free from the field. Sorry about that. Rakia Jackson is averaging 18 on 48% from the field, 37% from three, and 89% from the free throw line. I think the biggest reason, or one of the biggest reasons for this stretch they've been on, is Rakia Jackson being as good as she's been, having games where she scored 20 plus points and has scored the game winner like she did against the Liberty. Um, just her being confident and aggressive and feeling empowered by her teammates and her coaches and the organization and the fans, like everyone. Like fans have always been really high on Rakia Jackson. I know there's some people out there, shout out to my guy Nick, who believe that she has the has the talent to be the best player from that class. So, this is the kind of basketball that people have expected from her, and just they're starting to get it on a more consistent basis. And sometimes it comes down to opportunity. And when she's been given the opportunity to start and play big minutes consistently, she's taken advantage of every moment that she's been on the court. Azurá Stevens is averaging 16 on 50% from the field, 48% from three, and 80% from the free throw line. Azurá Stevens is having a career year of her own. I made a video about Veronica Burton potentially being most improved player. Azurá Stevens has a phenomenal case as well. Um, she is really coming to her own over the past couple of years with LA. Um, she had a rough start to her career, I would say, just because she's an undersized center, and when she came into the league, there was there was Tina Charles, there was Sylvia Fowles. Oh my gosh, Sylvia Fowles, Brittany Griner. Um, as time went on, you got players like Bree Jones, Jonquel Jones, Brianna Stewart, Asia Wilson. Like there were so many Hall of Fame post players that were in the forefront, and at this point in the WNBA, everything really ran through the post player. So when you're undersized and you're young, you don't really get that opportunity until you really prove yourself night in and night out that you can keep up with those kinds of players. So definitely she deserves a lot of credit for the work that she's done on her body and just being capable of playing against those bigger centers and those bigger post players to where she's not compromised defensively, and she's with the ability to step out and shoot the three. That keeps them honest on the defensive end as well. Like it makes them have to come out and guard her, and it makes her have the advantage on the offensive end where she may be a little disadvantaged on the defensive end. Julie Alamont, one of my favorite players in the league, somebody that I've been advocating to be in the league since her rookie season. She came in, had a great rookie year, and then for multiple seasons, she either didn't come over because of things with Belgium or just different things. Sometimes it was injuries. And she's finally been able to come back over and play this season. She's averaged in the last 9 games, she's averaging 6.6 rebounds, 6 assists. She had a triple double the other night against the Sun, where she had 10 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. She's shooting 4%, 42% from the floor. She's just been a really good floor general for them. She's taken a lot of pressure off Kelsey Plum of having to be their best perimeter scorer and their best perimeter option in terms of creating for others. And it just opens the door for Kelsey Plum to play more, I don't want to say one dimensional, but it just gives her the option to just go be her. Like, you don't have to worry about every time you come down the court, like, okay, am I running this play for somebody else, or am I trying to make a play for somebody else, or am I trying to go get my own? When Julie Allemon is out there, or even a Julie Vanloo, like it just gives you the option to say, hey, like if I get the ball, I can make one play or I can make one move and figure out what I want to do from there instead of having to think about a bunch of different things that I might want to do. So I think Julie Allemon, as well as Rakia Jackson, stepping into the starting lineup or stepping into a consistent role in the starting lineup has been a huge reason for why they've been 8-1 in their last 9 games. I don't know if they'll be able to keep up this pace in terms of being number one in points per game, but also being one of the worst defensive teams. Um, I think it has to balance out a little bit, even if they're like a top 3 or 4 offense and then like a top 7, 8, 9 defense. Like there just has to be a bit of a balance there. I don't think you can be 12th in defensive rating and second or first in offensive rating and expect to beat teams like the Lynx or the Liberty, because at this point that's the teams that you're going to see unless they go on unless they continue this torrid pace of ended up as a 6 or a 5 seed, which doesn't look super likely, but it's possible because teams like Seattle and Phoenix haven't been playing phenomenal basketball. The Fever have have been dealing with injuries. They just lost 2 more guards, and they have to figure out what they're going there. So, um, and then the Aces have been inconsistent all season. So, while the Aces have played better, they've shown that they're vulnerable. They've shown that they can be beaten. So, the Sparks do have a chance. I'm not gonna say like, hey, they're for sure gonna be in this spot, but I do think at this point they make the playoffs, whether it's an 8 or 7 seed or even higher. I'm not sure of, but they've been playing at such a high level for the last, I would say about at this point it's about a month. Over the last month, I think they figured out what makes them go uh what makes them their best, what makes them trying to figure out the right word here. What makes them the hardest to beat or the most difficult to stop offensively. And I think if they can figure that out defensively, this puts them in a different conversation. Um, Obviously, you would want it to happen a little bit earlier in the season, but it's honestly happening at the right time because this is the time where other teams are still dealing with injuries, where Fee is down, Stewie's down, um, Caitlin Clark is down, Ryan Howard is down. Like every other team is dealing with injuries, and the injuries that they dealt with in terms of like Cam Brink, um, the injuries that they dealt with in Rakia earlier in the season, the injuries that they dealt with are kind of getting past or they're past right now. So their chance to climb up and get into those conversations is now. So shout out to the Los Angeles Sparks for what they've done over the last 9 games. If you like if you like what I've talked about or if you agree with what I talked about, let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and you know where to find me. I'll be right back here with another video in the coming days. Thank you.